In this chapter, we will discuss the biological process of asexual cell division, called mitosis, review the theory of spontaneous generation and how it was disproved, review the theory of biogenesis, investigate the process of DNA replication, learn how DNA is packaged in the cell at various stages, and discuss the events of the cell cycle. Now, before we do this, I want to take a look at the picture that we have on our chapter header here. And this is a picture from an onion cell, and the reason that I want to point this out to you is because I think this is really a cool picture, and this is actually something that we're going to do in lab. If you got our lab program, you'll do this as well. But if you look at these pictures, there's a couple of pictures here that are really pretty cool. What you're seeing here are the onion cells, and you can clearly see them. They're these nice rectangular cells. The dark thing in the middle is the nucleus. And if you look at a couple of these, particularly the one kind of right in the middle, and then there's one that's two cells away from it, and then to the top, up towards the right, and then there's one that's two cells, maybe one cell, but kind of some distance because some of the cells here got damaged in the slide prep. But if you move over here, you can see some more cells, and what you're looking at here these are chromosomes. And remember, we talked about the chromosomes being present during mitosis, and what we're looking at are these very, very condensed forms of DNA called chromosomes. And if you look, you can see, if you look at the dark little dots in the middle of them, you can see in this one right in the middle, they've all lined up in the middle of the cell. And this is what happens right before the cell splits apart. The chromosomes line up right along the middle here and get pulled apart. So this is kind of a preview of what we're going to do, but I wanted you to see really how easy it is with the right staining and slide preparation technique to see chromosomes in a rapidly dividing cell, which the tip of an onion is because it grows very quickly. This chapter is going to serve as an introduction to cell division because there's actually several different types of cell division, but they all kind of do the same thing, and so the concepts are very similar, and we'll use this as a foundation. The 4 different types of cell division are called mitosis, meiosis, binary fission, and budding. And we'll talk a little bit about these as we go along this year, but we're going to spend most of our time on mitosis and meiosis. It's important to remember, if we think just for a second, let's think about a single-cell organism. We talked earlier in the year that there's a property of life that all cells replicate themselves, and this is how single-cell organisms make more of themselves. They have to, in some way, if you have a single cell, that single cell has to do something in order to make more of itself, and what it does is it replicates itself, so it divides in half. And in order to make sure that each cell, so when you divide in half, remember the instructions that tell that cell how it's supposed to function and what kind of cell it's supposed to be for that single cell organism, so that DNA is contained in the DNA. So that DNA has to somehow you need a full copy in the parent cell, where the starting cell, as well as a full copy in the daughter cell, or else the cell won't work. So that's how this works. That's what we're talking about for single cell organisms, is the process that ends up duplicating the DNA. So if you only have one copy, but you're going to make 2 cells, the first thing you need to do is duplicate the DNA so you have 2 full copies, and then you need to distribute it in each cell. So when the cells pull apart, each cell gets a copy of that DNA. And that's the same idea if you're talking about a multicellular organism. All multicellular organisms originally start out as a single cell. And the reason and the way that single cell turns into a multicell organism is that the one cell divides into 2, and then the 2 into 4, and the 4 into 8, the 8 into 16, etc., until you have the multicellular organism, whether you're talking about a fish or a human being. And so that process, every time a cell divides, it needs to make sure that a fully functional set of DNA gets from the parent cell into the daughter cell. So when that one cell splits in half and forms 2, you've got a full copy of the DNA in each one of those cells, and that's what mitosis is all about. So that's what we're going to be learning about as we go along here.